अब बात करते हैं आज के स्वदेश हीरो की। नौकरी ढूंढने में मुश्किल काम को आसान बनाने के लिए शुरू हुई ऑनलाइन जॉब पोर्टल Naukri.com की कामयाबी ने इन्फो एज को देश की लीडिंग ऑनलाइन क्लासिफाइड कंपनी बना दिया। इसीलिए आज हमने इन्फो एज को चुना है अपना स्वदेश हीरो।
बात नौकरी ढूंढने की हो या जीवन साथी ढूंढने की या फिर ढूंढनी हो प्रॉपर्टी, इन मुश्किल कामों को टेक्नोलॉजी की मदद से न सिर्फ आसान बनाया जा सकता है बल्कि इसे ऑनलाइन बिजनेस बनाकर दूसरों के लिए एक मिसाल भी बन सकती है। इसे मुमकिन कर दिखाया इन्फो एज ने। इन्फो एज आज इंटरनेट बेस्ड देश की प्रीमियर बिजनेस कंपनियों में से एक है। इन्फो एज के जॉब पोर्टल Naukri.com न सिर्फ नौकरी तलाश करने वालों के बीच पॉपुलर है बल्कि ऑनलाइन जॉब सर्च पोर्टल के क्षेत्र में लीडर भी है। ऑनलाइन क्लासिफाइड जॉब साइट से शुरू हुई इन्फो एज आज जीवनसाथी.com, 99acre.com और शिक्षा.com जैसे ऑनलाइन क्लासिफाइड सर्विसेज भी चलाती है। देश की लीडिंग ऑनलाइन क्लासिफाइड कंपनी इन्फो एज को हमने चुना है आज का अपना स्वदेश हीरो। इन्फो एज के साथ जुड़ा है इसके फाउंडर संजीव बिखचंदानी का नाम, जिन्हें भारत में स्टार्टअप का पायनियर कहा जाता है, जिनके खुद की कंपनी की बुनियाद पड़ने की कहानी भी काफी दिलचस्प है। दिल्ली के सेंट स्टीफेंस कॉलेज से इकोनॉमिक्स में ग्रेजुएशन और IIM से पढ़ाई पूरी करने के बाद संजीव ने कई महीनों तक नौकरी भी की, लेकिन हमेशा से इरादा कुछ बड़ा काम करने का था और इसी सपने ने इन्फो एज की शुरुआत का रास्ता साफ किया। अपने दोस्त के साथ उन्होंने इंडमार्क और इन्फो एज के नाम से 2 कंपनियों की नींव रखी। शुरुआत में वो फार्मा कंपनियों को ट्रेडमार्क डेटाबेस मुहैया कराते थे। 3 साल साथ काम करने के बाद 1993 में दोनों पार्टनर अलग हो गए और फिर 1995 में इन्फो एज की शुरुआत हुई। क्लासिफाइड मैगजीन में नौकरियों की लिस्ट चेक करते हुए देखकर उनके मन में वेबसाइट बनाने का आइडिया आया और यहीं से Naukri.com की शुरुआत हुई। मंदी और पूंजी की कमी जैसी चुनौतियों को मात देते हुए इन्फो एज के कदम कामयाबी के रास्ते पर आगे बढ़ते गए। 2004 में इन्फो एज ने मैरिज पोर्टल जीवनसाथी.com का अधिग्रहण किया। 2006 में इन्फो एज बॉम्बे और नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज पर लिस्ट होने वाली भारत की पहली .com कंपनी बन गई। आज भी इन्फो एज की कमाई में सबसे ज्यादा योगदान जॉब पोर्टल Naukri.com का ही है। इन्फो एज के फाउंडर संजीव को फोर्ब्स ने 2019 में दुनिया के बिलियनियर की लिस्ट में शामिल किया। फोर्ब्स के मुताबिक अगस्त 2021 तक उनकी नेटवर्थ $3.1 बिलियन थी। पद्मश्री सम्मान से नवाजे जा चुके संजीव बिखचंदानी ने जोमैटो, वेकेशन लैब्स, उन्नति और पॉलिसी बाजार जैसी कंपनियों में निवेश भी किया है और उनके मार्गदर्शन में इन्फो एज कामयाबी के साथ आगे बढ़ रही है। ET नाउ स्वदेश।
तो आज हमने स्वदेश हीरो के लिए इन्फो एज को चुना है और कंपनी के फाउंडर और वाइस चेयरमैन संजीव बिखचंदानी से बात की ET नाउ स्वदेश के मैनेजिंग एडिटर निकुंज डालमिया ने।
My guest on the show today is someone who needs no introduction whatsoever. Over the years I've interacted with him, his ability to understand businesses when they are young, invest them. He's invested in some of them very successfully. His ability to understand the big picture, minimize the risk for his shareholders and maximize the value for his employees and shareholders has been quite extraordinary. I'm talking about Sanjeev Bikhchandani.
Thank you so much.
The question, Mr. Bikhchandani, is that you understand the startup valuations more than anyone else. While some of these businesses are great, they are relevant, they will continue to grow. How does an investor go about investing in them? What is relevant for a customer may not be relevant for a shareholder. Let's discuss and debate that. How does one go about understanding the valuations of some of these new tech companies? I'm not calling them startups, sir, because they are no longer startups now.
Well, look, I really have never operated as a flipper or a short-term trader. I think when you invest, you should look at investing for the long term. If you look at Info Edge, the company where I work, we offered the share in 2006 at 320 rupees. Just prior to the global financial crisis, it had peaked at 1400 rupees, in other words, 4x. When the crisis hit in about 6-8 months' time, it had gone down to 25% of its original of the peak value. It was still above IPO price, but only just. And since then, it's sort of in a stop-start manner has been climbing. over 15 years since we listed in November 2006, the share started trading, the first week of November, to now, that's exactly 15 years almost. From the IPO price to now has been roughly 80x return. So many of these tech companies have got very good long-term prospects. Immediate euphoria may push the share price up in the frothy market beyond its intrinsic value. If there's a crash, it'll go way below, but then it'll come back up again because there's intrinsic value. So I would study intrinsic value, and I would set a long-term time horizon, and only then invest.
Are you a big votary of the importance of profit and cash flows? Do you think that is an important prism which needs to be analyzed? They may not make profits in this quarter or next 2 or 3 years, but ultimately if any of these businesses do not make profit, it would be difficult for a long-term investor like you to invest in them?
No, all businesses have to make profit eventually. That's why they're set up, right? Ultimately, you are priced off an earnings multiple. In the long run, you'll be priced off an earnings multiple. And of course, growth plays a part, so earnings and growth. Now, the question really is, can you postpone earning of profit and prioritize growth? And if so, for how long? And maybe that's what the market requires today. Maybe that's what the market and investors are rewarding today. Which is why you're seeing some of these companies who are coming out, although they're making losses, they're trading at very high valuations. These are real investors who have subscribed. I mean, if Zomato was subscribed to 38 to 40x, these are with 75% of the issue being subscribed by institutional investors. These are smart investors. They think deep and long before they make a commitment. Or let's say if Policybazaar has got a 30 to 40% pop on the third day, there's a reason, right? And I'm not talking about retail and HNI investors. I'm talking about institutional investors who continue to support these companies.
So do you think the right way of looking at these businesses is that don't look at FY22, FY23, FY24, just look at the growth then, and then you should extend your time frame, because at some point in time these companies would be profitable? Do you think for those who are investing in startup IPOs, I'm talking about not the private market, that's a different bottle of game, the public issues, the public market, one should ignore the fact that they are loss making, and as long as you're ready to increase your time frame from 2 to 3 years, these companies would be very different?
So let me put it this way. I will look at 3-4 things. Number one is quality of management team. Number two is competitive position in the market. Right? What's the market share? Is it a network effect business? Right? On both these, Zomato and Policybazaar score very well. Right? And then I would look at what's the long-term market size and what's the addressable market. In both these cases, it's very, very large. And therefore, I would, if it's a 10-15 year time frame, I would probably invest.
So is it a tough time to be an investor? Because A, there is liquidity. B, there is a bit of a froth which is getting, which is there. Is it getting tough for you to find the next Zomato or the next Policybazaar?
So my submission is that, and this is anecdotal, what I've heard, is that a lot of asset prices today in India, whether in public markets or in private markets, whether new IPOs or even older shares, a lot of that is happening because of the excess liquidity coming in from overseas. $4 trillion makes everybody look smart. And that, I think, has made a huge difference, whether we like it or not. And yes, money being diverted from China into India. So I think nobody's benchmarking these companies globally right now, or very few are. It is a lot of it liquidity driven. But look, if you look at Info Edge, our share price was 2,200 rupees approximately, maybe 23, 21. I forget the exact number, in February 2020, right? Since then, it's about 3x. Have the fundamentals improved 3x, or is it liquidity? And if it's liquidity, has a big role. If liquidity has a big role to play in it, it will impact everybody, including the IPOs.
Do you think in the Indian startup IPO market currently there is an overvaluation, there is a euphoria, or there is a bubble? Because if there is an overvaluation, a correction will kick in, they will stabilize. If there is a bubble, there will be a meltdown.
Look, my advice will always be hang on in there. There have been great companies which had problems in the IPOs, but if the fundamental business is sound, they bounce back. And the bounce back may take a few quarters, but it happens. I mean, I believe I don't have personal recollection, but I've read that the Infosys IPO had a problem in 1993 being fully subscribed, and it just got made it past the finish line. The Facebook IPO, more famously, went to a fraction of its offer price a few months after the IPO. And both these companies have become great companies. So it's not the end of the world. If the focus on executing, focus on the underlying business, and if you execute well, the share price will come back. I have not really studied the Paytm fundamentals. I only know Vijay Shekhar Sharma as a good entrepreneur. He's a very good entrepreneur. He has faced adversity in the past and bounced back. He came from a very hard place growing up. When he went to engineering college, he didn't know English. He had somehow cleared, he knew numbers, he did not know English. And he had to learn English in college. And from that background, from a rural background, from a very, very economically, a family of very modest financial means, he has made it this far. There is something he has. And that quality, I think, will come forward and he will execute well going forward. I am hopeful.
चलिए, तो ये एक्सक्लूसिव बातचीत हमारे स्वदेश हीरो के साथ, लेकिन आगे बढ़ते